all of the resorts in the Caribbean, Mexico, all the legit resorts, the good resorts, basically said, hey, we'll do that COVID test for you for free.
Right.
You know, it's free. And if you test positive, we'll let you quarantine here up to 10, 14 days for free. Some people thought they were getting a 14-day extra vacation. Or like, hey, I want positive COVID. I'm going to stay at this 5-diamond AAA resort, all inclusive. I had people say that, like, how do I get COVID in Mexico? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, that's not in my repertoire. But what I would explain to people is, listen, if they're quarantining you, you're not out in the swim or pool bar.
You are sitting in a room
service
exactly.
For 10 days, right? So don't go to get COVID.
Yeah, don't think you're going to walk around the beach
right.
and be...
Right, exactly, yeah. It's not like they're going to lock you in, but I think they're locking you in.
Yeah.
What we've seen recently...
Hey, Destis and Bride friends. This is just a quick notice to let you know that this is part 3 of a 3-part, that's 6, of a 3-part interview with Desti Pro Jack Benoff of Vacationeeze. So, if you have missed out already on 1 and 2, then you can listen to 3. It's it's clearly a continuation, but it does stand alone as its own episode, and it's going to have a lot for you. Completely up to you. I do recommend you watching 1 and 2 in addition to this, which is number 3, as I already said. But I really wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to focus on the bite-sized pieces. So that is the reason for this interview being split into 3 sections. Once you hear all 3, it will make sense. And I'm looking forward to hearing how much you enjoy it. At this point, we've talked about so much destination wedding resort information that I really wanted to make sure that we also got one of those updates. If you do not know, Jack also has an amazing YouTube channel. I love it. It's full of bite-sized pieces. It's funny because I'm deciding to chop this one up. But if you have a very specific question, he really answers them. I will link to it below. No matter whether you're listening or watching this, I'll link to his YouTube channel. And if you ever have any questions, make sure that you drop them in the comment section if you are watching this on Desti TV. And take a note and shoot it to me at Destiland on Instagram, or send it to me in the community to make sure that we gather those questions. Jack has been pretty much a regular on the show. He has past episodes. He's also done live Q&A, Desti Hours in the community, and there will be another one as a follow-up. So make sure that you ask those questions. If you're not in the community, join the community, and we will see you soon. If you're too late and the event has already happened, don't worry, because all Desti Hour replays are waiting for you in the archive as well. I hope that you love and enjoy this interview, which I feel quite confident that you will. I made you a promise in the first episode, and I'm looking forward to hearing if I have actually delivered on that. So here's part 3 of my interview with Jack Benoff. I will see you soon, and until then, as usual, I am wishing you all the best week of your life and reminding you to have the time of your life, planning the best days of your life. Bye, guys. Good. So yeah, it sounds like I'm giving good advice too. So good.
Yeah.
All right, that's
very
good.
creative.
Okay. This is so good, and this is definitely. I feel like I can do some good things with this. So thank you as usual. Thank you very much for all of the things. Now, I originally was asking about news, and not too much has changed since your July update video you've told me, which I will link to as well. But I still just have questions in general. So can we do like a little quick Q&A to kind of just dig in?
My plan, like I said, is I'm going to try to do an update next week if I see anything come up.
Okay.
But yeah, sure.
Yeah, and whenever you do, I'll link to that as well.
There should be an August update. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, as far, of course, COVID is still a thing. So, COVID testing, in July, you were talking about how Jamaica was still requiring the COVID test. Is that still a thing?
As of today, it still is that you have to have a negative COVID test to get into Jamaica. Out of the 2 three popular places of weddings: Mexico, Jamaica, and the DR. Jamaica is the only one currently requiring COVID testing to get in. Now, let me tweak potentially your next question, or something that's important to us. The resorts, as you know, the CDC requires anybody traveling back into the United States from an international destination, not just an island, any international destination, to have a negative COVID test within 72 hours of arrival. You have to present it at the airport that you're checking into at the international destination to get on the plane. When COVID was a thing, or started, all of the resorts in the Caribbean, Mexico, all the legit resorts, the good resorts, basically said, hey, we'll do that COVID test for you for free.
Right.
You know, it's free. And if you test positive, we'll let you quarantine here up to 10, 14 days for free. Some people thought they were getting a 14-day extra vacation, or like, hey, I want positive COVID. I'm going to stay at this 5-diamond AAA resort, you know, all inclusive. I had people say that, like, how do I get COVID in Mexico? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, that's not in my repertoire. But what I would explain to people is, listen, if they're quarantining you, you're not out in the swim or pool bar.
You are sitting in a room
service
exactly.
For 10 days, right? So don't go to get COVID.
Yeah, don't think you're going to walk around the beach and be...
Right, exactly, yeah. It's not like they're going to lock you in, but I think they're locking you in.
Yeah.
What we've seen recently, Charisma Resorts came out about a week ago and said, starting new weddings booked, I think, July of 2021 forward, we are no longer providing free COVID tests. There will be a fee. We'll do it at the resort still, but I think it's $20 to $30 per person to get the test. I saw also a few of the Secrets resorts have said that. My belief is that in the near future, when one resort does it, the other ones will do it. If Charisma is not seeing a loss of business because of it, the word's going to get out. Because if you think about it, if these resorts are paying $20, $30, $40, $50 to have these COVID tests done, they haven't increased the room rates to absorb it. They were just losing it. So I think that's one of the things we're seeing with COVID, is that the testing at some of the resorts into the future. For existing bookings, everybody's fine, but as of some new bookings in July, whether it's a honeymoon, vacation, or a group for a destination wedding, we're seeing some of the resorts basically take that away, and it's not published anywhere, right? It's not in your wedding contract. It's just their terms and conditions. So I think we'll see that change. The other thing we're getting asked a lot about, you know, with the Delta variant now that's out there, is what is the mask requirement? Are all the restaurants open? The answer is maybe. Everything changes on a daily basis. So what I have told people is we just don't know. Take masks, take sanitizer if you're going during COVID and you are concerned about it. You know, as you know, the CDC is still, and the airlines are still saying that if you fly on a plane, you have to have a mask. So, you know, people are flying with them for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. So at the resort, some of the resorts are saying masks required. There are indoor spaces. Some resorts have closed swim up pool bars because they were mass congregating points and they didn't want people there. So every resort is doing something a little bit different. Some of the resorts have buffets open now. Some of the buffets are not self-service. Some are. Some limit the number of people at a buffet. So every resort is doing anything that they can do to make sure that people feel comfortable coming to the resorts. And we have not heard from anybody at a resort call us at the resorts we work with and say, get me out of here. I feel like they are not taking this virus seriously.
Okay. Well, that's good news. Is there a way to find out, the rules as far as the COVID testing? Are they putting that, because you said are they putting that on their website? Like, if right now, if I looked on Secrets Maroma or so.
Yeah, no, I have, when the couple Secrets published it to us, I did go on their website and it said nothing about it. Yeah. So I don't know if they're, you know, these resorts, I haven't honestly checked other ones that have said it.
Right.
But, you know, my optimistic hope is that what does it really matter? Because in, you know, July of 22, there's going to be no more
Won't be a
COVID.
thing anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be true, but optimistically, I was hopeful. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, or either way, it probably won't be the same thing that's happening now that'll be happening then. Which just like what's happening now wasn't happening in March so of this year.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. So I don't know, but no, I look, what I've told people flying to Jamaica primarily is that do me a favor, 3 days or 4 days before your trip, before you go get your COVID test, go on the Jamaica tourism website, because that's going to be the most accurate information before you travel. So
And
same thing. I mean, people traveling internationally, France, Europe, Tahiti, wherever it is on a honeymoon, I'm telling people the same thing. Before you travel, 5 days before you travel, because then you have to plan for your COVID if you need it, go on that destination website, the official website of the destination, look under COVID-19, translate it, and see what the most current information is at that point, because things change.
yeah, that's really great advice. And speaking of Jamaica, there was just a comment, well, a post in the Desti Lovers community from Lachelle. Thanks. Hey, shout out to Lachelle. Getting married in August. Soon. December? Let me not. I didn't mess up your whole date. Anyway, Lachelle said that United Airlines, she got a message from United Airlines saying that her flight had changed. And when she looked to see, they actually no longer fly to Montego Bay. Have you heard anything about this?
So I haven't heard of that specifically, but the airlines are driving everybody in the travel industry and anybody traveling crazy.
Yeah.
In the old days, prior to COVID, when the airlines were just flying, you could book a flight 9 months in advance, and we saw no changes. You'd notify us of your flights, nothing. I have a client that's a trip that was booked 6 months ago. We probably have 6 flight changes, some of which, to your point, we started with a nonstop flight. Then they went to like a 4-hour changeover in I don't know where. So yes, I mean, I tell people this, they will notify us and your travel professionals, but they're also going to notify you. But I think it's very, very important that periodically you check the website of the airline you're booked with for any travel and put your record locator number in and check there. Because sometimes they're not going to proactively email you or us. As an example, I just got back from Greece. About a week before we went to Greece, I got an email from, I know, I went online, I wanted to check my seat on American Airlines, and it didn't show my flight. And it said, important changes to your flight, click here. I click here, and it said, please call us. And I'm like, okay, Houston, we have a problem. Now, I am at the highest level with American Airlines at Executive Platinum. I've flown 3 million miles with American Airlines, so I'm at their highest tier. So I have a private desk I work with. So I called the private desk, and they said, oh, well, we don't have that flight anymore. I'm like, well, we have a problem. I said, well, no, you can fly through London. I'm like, I'm not going to London because Americans couldn't go to London. Oh, well, then you can go 2 days before or 2 days later when we have your flight. I'm like, no, I can't go later because I'm getting on a cruise.
Cruise, right.
So that's not going to work. So we had to go 2 days earlier.
Like, are you paying for my room? So you had to stay somewhere?
Exactly. Right. No, their answer was, well, we'll give you a future travel credit. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I have a group of people we're escorting on a cruise. I have to be there by this date. And your change, oops, I just realized, impacted probably 20 additional guests that I now have to deal with. So we are seeing this happen. Now, again, the fare, I was worried they were going to charge me more, which they didn't. But we are seeing things like what you're saying about with your bride happen every day. And it's up until the day before travel. I mean, like days before travel, it's happening. So again, I am telling our clients, whether we book your flight or you book your own flight, you get what's called a record locator number, and go on the airline website periodically, check the record locator number to compare it against what they're saying is true today, and what we may have booked, but periodically check it because they may not notify you. They're supposed to, but sometimes they don't.
Ooh, okay. Do you do, since you travel so much, do you have like a global entry? Do you do that? Or the TSA
I
pre-check or?
advocate for everybody. Well, first of all, a couple things. Let's take a step back. I advocate everybody as an American, get a passport. Okay? Don't tell me 30 days before you realize you're going to this destination wedding, I don't have a passport. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
With COVID times, what you're going to do is not go on this vacation. You're not going to the wedding.
Right.
So if you're listening to this now and you don't have a passport, get one. It's taking forever to get them. Like,
Yeah.
hit stop, pause, go get a passport. Okay. The next thing is if you are going to travel more than a couple times a year, enroll for global entry. Now, it's not as important as it was a couple years ago. I was part of the test program for it. It was amazing because it was like two of us, in every airport. Because now they have the automated kiosks and they have the app. So global entry is good, but I don't think it's as important. The real benefit to me for global entry is you automatically get TSA pre.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, there were two programs. There was TSA pre and there was global entry, and the two databases didn't match. So global entry, couple of things people don't like about it is, one is you have to physically go for a meeting, an interview at an airport or a global entry center, which are typically airports.
Right.
And two, I think they charge you a $100 fee.
Yeah.
Some credit cards are offering a reimbursement on that fee.
Yeah.
But again, the old days, the benefit of global entry is you didn't have to stand in the customs line when you came back in the U.S. You went right to a global entry program. It was kiosk-based. They've changed it recently. It still is kiosk-based, but now it's all facial recognition. When I came from Greece a week ago, you don't even have to slip your passport in. You just bend down,
Put your
get the
face
camera,
in.
click, boom, you're through. So that was really nice. But then I sat outside waiting for my luggage with probably the last person on the plane by the time my luggage got up. But again, most of the airports in the U.S. clear customs now will have, you don't have to stand in the customs lines. There's lines, but they're going to have kiosks. But again, there is an app that you can download in the U.S. That you can do your own customs clearing. You no longer have to fill out that form anymore. Now, with international destinations, sorry, no longer. I mean, you still have to do it. Like in Mexico, you still have those two forms, and now there's a third and fourth form related to health questionnaire and COVID.
Right.
Other countries have. But yeah, again, to me, if all someone gets out of our conversation now is get a passport. I heard a statistic that there are more people in the United States that have gun permits than have
passports. I actually heard that too. I saw something about that more recently. Yeah.
That is to me just crazy.
Yeah.
If you go to any place in Europe, no one has gun permits. We in the United States do not travel as much. We make more money than other people in other countries, but we do not travel as much as people in other countries.
Yeah.
The world's a big place. We should get out and check it out.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. And we actually we did the TSA pre-check, and as I put the application, and then when I was talking to Che, we were talking, and then it was like, why didn't we do global entry? And for me, it was like, it would take longer. We got to have a flight soon. So, TSA is faster, and then we're moving. So the whole idea of getting an appointment, and we'll just upgrade or do that another time or whatever. So that's what we did. And now I'm thinking, once I start like traveling again and we start doing more, it'll be like global entry makes the most sense. But
it's only international global entry. Just remember that. It doesn't do any benefits if you just do domestic travel. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, during COVID, a lot of times the TSA pre-lines were not open anyway.
Yeah.
So they're just starting. I mean, I've probably flown 10 or 15 times during COVID now, and I would say half the times TSA pre-lines were not open.
Okay. Interesting. So last thing I do want to touch on, you mentioned that you went to Greece. So can you talk about cruises and how your cruise was?
So we were on the second cruise with this cruise line during COVID. So I love cruising. I have probably been on, in the last 30 years, 150 to 160 different cruise ships, not different
Wow.
cruises.
Mm-hmm.
I will typically cruise 10, 6, 7, 8, 10 times a year. The older I get, the smaller the ships I like. So we don't book Carnival. It's just a preference. We tend to do, you know, 4.5 to 6 star cruises. Personally, as I cruise, like I said, next week I'm leaving to France. I have a group we're escorting, and we're doing a river cruise from
Mm.
Paris down to Normandy.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but I will say to you that the cruises are really setting the trends in terms of dealing with COVID, HEPA filters. You must be vaccinated to get on most of the cruises, even though it's happening in Florida right now with the governor down there. Um, so, I think taking a cruise right now is a, a very safe way to vacation. Um, when we got to the ship, they COVID tested you before we got on. Every day I came out of our stateroom, we had a butler. I mean, this was a Silver Sea cruise, which is, it's probably, it's, if it's not one of the most expensive, it's the most expensive. But it's insane. I mean, it's just a crazy cruise. But every day our butler would take your temperature, before you would leave your cabin. Um, and then as you got off the ship, sometimes they would take your temperature. When you came back to the ship, sometimes they would take your temperature. And we were away for about 2 weeks. And I think 3 or 4 times during the 2 week trip, we had COVID tests. All the cruise line covered all of it. They required masks when you were inside on the ship, other than eating and drinking.
Mm-hmm.
During the tours, if you were on one of their tours, they did not create a bubble. Some of the cruise lines now are creating bubbles that you cannot go off and explore the destination. You have to be on a cruise line sponsored tour. That's kind of going away, but it's not dictated by the cruise line. It's being dictated by the
By the
destination.
destination.
Right. I mean, I just saw today, before we started talking, that Carnival has a ship that they're sailing, and they're working with the CDC that 95% of the people on the ship have to be vaccinated. So they're calling it an unvaccinated cruise because it's an option. But the government, I think in Puerto Rico, basically said anybody that's unvaccinated cannot get off the ship. It wasn't Carnival that said that, it was Puerto
It's
Rico.
interesting. Yeah.
So, I think we've seen, I think Iceland had an issue up there as well, and they said that if there's any unvaccinated people, they can't get off in this port. So the cruise we took was amazing. Shout out to Silver Sea. If anybody's cruised a lot and is a foodie and likes the best alcohol and the best cruise experience in cabins, which are, our closet was as big as a Royal Caribbean closet, right? And the funny thing is, and I tell people this about cruising all the time, yes, it was expensive, but if you look at the price of our cruise compared to taking a Royal Caribbean Celebrity or Princess cruise and going for one of their club level or aqua suites or anything, it's about the same price.
Mm.
But again, just because it's expensive, it isn't for everybody, which goes back to helping to pick resorts for people for their weddings,
Right.
which is just because you're in your mind a Ritz-Carlton person doesn't mean a Ritz-Carlton is right for you and your guests. And that's why it's very important in anything we do in travel that we match you with the hotel or the cruise ship, because I don't want you saying, hey, I just won the lottery and I want to go on Seabourn, Silver Sea or whatever because I heard about the caviar in your cabin
Right.
and all this crazy stuff. You get on there and they're like, hey, everybody here is 80 years old
Right.
and there's no disco, there's no club, there's no shows. So we really have to define, are you a Royal Caribbean Celebrity cruiser, a Windstar cruiser, or what is it that you're cruising about? And again, I personally, we love cruising. It's really one of my favorite ways to travel to explore the world.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions about the Silver Seas as far as age group. What is the situation with that? So I think you kind of answered that one.
Yeah, I think, yeah, so I would
Or
say
the-
Silver Seas, as you look into kind of the premium, the top end of cruising,
Mhm.
you really have Regent, Silver Seas, and Seabourn. They're really at that top. All inclusive, all your alcohol and everything. It's not a meal plan or like some of the cruise lines are now putting drink plans. I mean, this is like you go to the bar and they have Macallan, Glenlivet, 20 different vodkas, really real high-end stuff. I will say that on those cruises, it's really dependent upon the itinerary, right? Because we did another cruise on a similar line 2 years ago to Antarctica. And it ended up being, I would say, a 40-year-old to 60-year-old crowd because we were doing hiking on glaciers. We were doing wet landings in zodiacs. And it was about nature and hikes. We did a 3 or 4 mile hike in ice shoes. So I think when you look at the higher end cruises, that you find people that want it because of the cruise, because they want to be on Silversea, Seabourn, or Oceania or Regent, because they want the food and they want the butlers and the experience. And then you have people that really look at the itinerary and they say, look, there's no way I can get to the Galapagos unless I'm on a ship. And typically the higher end ships go to these places. So if you're looking at a Caribbean cruise, everybody from Carnival, all the way up to Silversea and Seabourn go there. So it's what is the experience you want. And again, I think that on that type of cruise, yes, you may find an older group. I mean, that's what we found when we did our first river cruise probably 10 years ago. Not that I was young, but I was younger than I am now. We had this expectation we were going to get on and be everybody's grandkids in my 40s, right? And we weren't, but we were close. I mean, people are like, why are you here? Now it's changed.
Okay.
I mean, because the river cruising has gotten smart. I mean, like we're going next week to France, and we've got bike tours set. We're doing wine tasting. We're doing a cooking class. We're going to see in Normandy, World War II, the battlefields and the cemeteries. So I think that each cruise is like each resort. It has a clientele it caters to. And I think the most important thing that when you're booking a cruise or a wedding is you find someone to work with you trust that has knowledge versus someone that can help you push the button of making the booking.
Yeah. You're so awesome. Yes. Woo! Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Of course, I would love for you to return for us to.
Always happy to hang out with you, maybe in person at some point in the future.
I know, yeah. When we go to Atlanta, you're gonna have to come down, or who knows? We'll
No.
or maybe somewhere else. We could actually go somewhere.
Or
You always
Pittsburgh.
host.
Let's go to Pittsburgh. Let's go to Mexico.
All right, yeah.
We can do a show live in Mexico.
That would
You
be
tell me
awesome.
when you want to do that. I'll hook that up for you.
That's so cool. Yes, you're awesome. Thank you so very much for that. This is great. Of course, I'm going to link to all things Jack and Vacationeeze, and
Thank you very much.
of course. And I feel like I had one more question, but I don't. Oh no, just I will link again. I said it earlier, but I will link to the latest news video that you post on your channel. That'll be down there too, to just
I hope I do
continue
it
with
next
all
week.
of this.
Yep. My goal
Yep.
is early next week to do one. I'm just waiting for some good stuff to publish. I mean, like I said, very little new has happened in the past month, other than prices going up and perks going down.
Aww.
And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I don't really want to publish that because, as strange as this may be, I have said a couple, what someone perceives as negative things about a resort on one of my videos. And one of the resorts called me. I'm like, you have nothing better to do than find my videos?
They're watching your
"Nothing I
videos.
said."
Like,
Yeah. And they said, you should come and, see we've improved that. And I'm like, nothing I said was wrong. You would agree or disagree? And they're like,
Right.
well, I couldn't get an answer from them. But they're like, you should come and spend some time here. I'm like, I'll pass. I've been.
yeah,
But
no
it's
thanks.
amazing
Thanks, but
to me
no thanks.
that they actually watched my video. And I don't know why.
That says a
and they
lot. Yeah.
Heard what I said about their resort, and I'm doing another video, and they're not going to be happy because I have a video I just recorded about vacation club and timeshare schemes, and because that's a big thing with weddings, right?
Yes.
Everybody, half the people at a wedding have never traveled before, and they get out of the airport, and the first person they see is this very professional, well-dressed person in this foreign country that speaks English. and wants to ask them about their vacation.
Yep.
So,
Hi. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, hi. Yeah, where are you going? You need a ride? Would you like a free dinner? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just did a video about that because it irritates me what some of these hotels do deceptively to get people to attend these vacation club promotions.
Yeah.
And I'm always
That's
warning our clients about them. I'm screaming at resorts. So I'm really concerned that one of the resorts that I give a negative shout out to is going to be calling me. And again, I'm not saying anything
Hey, they
wrong, but
should
I want
stop
to
it then.
protect. Right.
It's a true thing. So if you don't like it, you probably shouldn't be doing
Well,
it.
they
But
make a
that's
ton of money.
it happens, it's yeah, I don't know how much is going to deter them, but definitely for our on
It's
our
not going to deter.
yeah, no, on our wedding website, and then also on any communications that we did with our guests, and I always tell our brides to do that too. We said, hey, you don't have to do the timeshare. Like, don't like avoid it. Just so you know, it's going to take up a ton of your time. It's going to be all these things. Like, just know,
Yeah.
So yeah, so okay, yeah. You always give us a ton of stuff. So thank you.
Okay. No problem.